Good morning. Daily Bible reading Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. We're on day 152. All right, let's get into the word. That's weird. It says, does it really say that? It looks like it says AI defeats the Israelites. Maybe it's OWL. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but it really does look like that. Okay, Joshua 7:1. But Israel violated the instructions about the things set apart for the Lord. A man named Achan stole some of the dedicated things, so the Lord was very angry with the Israelites. Achan was the son of Carmi, a descendant of Zimri, son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah. Chronicles 2:7. 1 Chronicles 2:7. The son of Camri, a descendant of Zimri, was Achan, who brought disaster on Israel by taking plunder that had been set apart for the Lord. Joshua sent some of his men from Jericho to spy out the town of Ai, east of Bethel near Beth Aven. When they returned, they told Joshua, "There is no need for all of us to go up there. It won't take more than 2,000 or 3,000 men to attack Ai. Since there are so few of them, don't make all of our people struggle to go up there." So approximately 3,000 warriors were sent, but they were soundly defeated. The men of Ai chased the Israelites from the town gate as far as the quarries. They killed about 36 who were retreating down the slope. The Israelites were paralyzed with fear at this turn of events, and their courage melted away. Joshua and the elders of Israel tore their clothing in dismay, threw dust on their heads, and bowed face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord until evening. Then Joshua cried out, "O sovereign Lord, why did you bring us across the Jordan River if you are going to let the Amorites kill us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side. Lord, what can I say now that Israel has fled from its enemies? For when the Canaanites and all the other people living in the land hear about us, they will surround us and wipe our name off the face of the earth. And then what will happen to the honor of your great name?" But the Lord said to Joshua, "Get up. Why are you lying face down like this? Israel has sinned and broken my covenant. They have stolen some of the things that I commanded must be set apart for me. And they have not only stolen them, but they've lied about it and hid the things among their own belongings. That is why the Israelites are running from their enemies in defeat. For now Israel itself has been set apart for destruction. I will not remain with you any longer unless you destroy the things among you that were set apart for destruction. Get up, command the people to purify themselves in preparation for tomorrow, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Hidden among you, O Israel, are things set apart for the Lord. You will never defeat your enemies until you remove these things from among you. In the morning you must present yourselves by tribes, and the Lord will point out the tribe to which the guilty man belongs. That tribe must come forward with its clans, and the Lord will point out the guilty clan. That clan will then come forward, and the Lord will point out from the guilty family. Finally, each member of the guilty family must come forward one by one. The one who has stolen what was set apart for destruction will himself be burned with fire along with everything he has, for he has broken the covenant of the Lord and has done a horrible thing to Israel." Achan's sin. Early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes of Israel before the Lord, and the tribe of Judah was singled out. Then the clans of Judah came forward, and the clan of Zerah was singled out. Then the families of Zerah came forward, and the family of Zimri was singled out. Every member of Zimri's family was brought forward, person by person, and Achan was singled out. Then Joshua said to Achan, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, by telling the truth. Make your confession and tell me what you've done. Don't hide it from me." Achan replied, "It's true, I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. Among the plunder I saw a beautiful robe from Babylon, 200 silver coins, and a bar of gold weighing more than a pound. I wanted them so much that I took them. They are hidden in the ground beneath my tent, with the silver buried deeper than the rest." So Joshua sent some men to make a search. They ran to the tent and found the stolen goods hidden there, just as Achan said. with the silver buried beneath the rest. They took the things from the tent and brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites. They laid them on the ground in the presence of the Lord. Then Joshua and all the Israelites took Achan the silver, the robe, the bar of gold, his son's daughters, cattle, donkey, sheep, goats, and tent, and everything he had, and they brought them to the valley of Achor. Then Joshua said to Achan, "Why have you brought trouble on us? The Lord will now bring trouble on you, on all the Israelites." Stoned Achan and his family and burned their bodies. They piled up a great heap of stones over Achan, which remains to this day. That is why the place has been called the Valley of Trouble ever since. So the Lord was no longer angry. The Israelites defeat Ai, whatever. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid or discouraged. Take all your fighting men and attack Ai. For I have given you the king Ai, his people, his town, and his land. You will destroy them as you destroyed Jericho and its king. But this time you may keep the plunder, the livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the town." So Joshua and all the fighting men set out to attack Ai. Joshua chose 30,000 of his best warriors and sent them out at night with these orders: "Hide in ambush close behind the town and ready for action. When the main army attacks, the men of Ai will come out to fight as they did before, and we will run away with them. We will let them chase us until we have drawn them away from the town. For the Israelites are running away from us as they did before. Then, while we are running from them, you will jump up from your ambush and take possession of the town, for the Lord your God will give it to you. Set the town on fire as the Lord has commanded. You have your orders." So they left and went to the place of ambush between Bethel and the west side of Ai, but Joshua remained among the people in the camp that night. Early the next morning, Joshua roused his men and started toward Ai, accompanied by the elders of Israel. All the fighting men who were with Joshua marched in front of the town and camped on the north side of Ai, with a valley between them and the town. That night Joshua sent 5,000 men to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the town. So they stationed the main army north of the town and ambush west of the town. Joshua spent that night in the valley. When the king of Ai saw the Israelites across the valley, he and all his army hurried out in the morning and attacked the Israelites at a place overlooking the Jordan Valley. But he didn't realize there was an ambush behind the town. Joshua and the Israelite army fled toward the wilderness. Though they were badly beaten, all the men in the town were called out to chase after them. In this way they were lured from the town. There was not a man left in Ai or Bethel who did not chase after the Israelites, and the town was left wide open. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Point the spear in your hand toward Ai for I will hand the town over to you." Joshua did as he was commanded. As soon as Joshua gave this signal, all the men in ambush jumped up from their position and poured into the town. They quickly captured it and set it on fire. When the men of Ai looked behind them, smoke from the town was filling the sky. They had nowhere to go. The Israelites, who had fled in the direction of the wilderness, now turned on their pursuers. When Joshua and all of the other Israelites saw that the ambush had succeeded and that smoke was rising from the town, they turned and attacked the men of Ai. Meanwhile, the Israelites who were inside the town came out and attacked the enemy from the rear. So the men of Ai were caught in the middle with Israelites. Oh, there's a trust jump. Hello, baby. Okay. We gotta keep reading, though. Okay, meanwhile, the Israelites inside the town came out and attacked the enemy from the rear. So the men of Ai were caught in the middle. The Israelite fighters on both sides, Israel attacked them, and not a single person survived or escaped. Only the king of Ai was taken alive and brought to Joshua. Okay. When the Israelite army finished chasing and killing all the men of Ai in the open fields, they went back and finished off everyone inside. So the entire population of Ai, including the men and women, was wiped out that day, 12,000 in all. For Joshua kept holding out his spear until everyone who had lived in Ai was completely destroyed. Only the livestock and treasures of the town were not destroyed, for the Israelites kept all the plunder for themselves, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. So Joshua burned the town of Ai, and it became a permanent mound of ruins, desolate to this very day. Joshua impaled the king of Ai on a sharpened pole and left him there until evening. At sunset, the Israelites took down the body, and Joshua commanded and threw it in front of the town gate. They piled a great heap of stones over him that can still be seen today. The Lord's covenant renewed. Joshua. Then Joshua built an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal. He followed the commands that Moses, the Lord's servant, had written in the book of instruction. Make me an altar from stones that are uncut and have not been shaped with iron tools. Then on the altar presented burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. And as the Israelites watched, Joshua copied onto the stones of the altar the instructions Moses had given them. Then all the Israelites, foreigners and native-born alike, along with the elders, officers, and judges, were divided into two groups. One group stood in front of Mount Gerizim, and the other in front of Mount Ebal. Each group faced the other, and between them stood the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Lord's covenant. This was done according to the commands that Moses, the servant of the Lord, had previously given blessing for the people of Israel. Joshua then read to them the blessings and curses Moses had written in the book of instruction. Every word of every command that Moses was ever given was read to the entire assembly of Israel, including the women and children and foreigners who lived among them. The Gibeonites deceived at Israel. Now all the kings west of the Jordan River heard about what happened. These were the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, who lived in the hill country in the western foothills and along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea as far as the Lebanon mountains. These kings combined their armies to fight against Joshua and the Israelites. But when the Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they resorted to deception to save themselves. They sent ambassadors to Joshua, loading their donkeys with withered saddlebags and old patched wineskins. They put on worn-out patched sandals and ragged clothes, and the bread they took with them was dry and moldy. When they arrived at the camp of Israel at Gilgal, they told Joshua and the men of Israel, we have come from a distant land to ask to make a peace treaty with us. The Israelites replied to the Hivites, how do we know you don't live nearby? For if you do, we cannot make a treaty with you. They replied, we are your servants. But who are you? Joshua demanded. Where do you come from? They answered, your servants have come from a very distant country. We have heard the might of the Lord your God and all he did in Egypt. We have also heard what he did to the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, King Sihon and Heshbon, and King Og of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all our other people instructed us, take supplies for a long journey. Go meet the people of Israel and tell them, we are your servants. Please make a treaty with us. This bread was hot from the ovens when we left the homes, but now you can see it's dry and moldy. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but now they're old and split open, and our clothing and sandals are worn out from the long journey. So the Israelites examined their food, but did not consult the Lord. Then Joshua made a peace treaty with them and guaranteed their safety, and the leaders of the community ratified their agreement with a binding oath. 3 days after making the treaty, they learned that these people were actually living nearby. The Israelites set out at once to investigate and reached their towns in 3 days. The names of the towns were Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim, but the Israelites did not attack the towns, for the Israelite leaders had made a vow to them in the name of the Lord God of Israel. So the people of Israel grumbled against their leaders because of the treaty, but the leaders replied, since we have sworn an oath and presented the Lord, the God of Israel, we cannot touch them. This is what we must do. We must let them live, for divine anger would come upon us if we broke our oath. Let them live. So that they made them woodcutters and water carriers for the entire community, as the Israelite leaders directed. Joshua called together the Gibeonites and said, why did you lie to us? Why did you why did you say that you lived in a distant land when you live right here among us? May you be cursed. From now on, You will always be servants who cut wood and carry water for the house of God. They replied, we did it because your servants were clearly told that the Lord your God commanded his servant Moses to give you this entire land and destroy all the people living in it. So we feared for our lives because of you. That is why we have done this. Now we're at your mercy. So Joshua did not allow the people of Israel to kill them, but that day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters, water carriers to the community of Israel for the altar of the Lord, wherever the Lord would choose to build it. And that is what they do this day.